Halls of Stone is a large 4-boss, 5-man dungeon found nearby Halls of Lightning and Ulduar in Storm Peaks. It has an optional 2 bosses, and the first 3 bosses can be done in any order. Tribunal of the Ages is the first mandatory boss and an escort style event. This has 5 different ad spawns that come in waves. It's got Dark Rune Protectors, which have got a charge and a cleave, Dark Rune Warriors with a cleave and a heroic strike, Dark Rune Stormcallers, which have got a lightning bolt and a Shadow Word Pain, Iron Golem Custodians with a crush armor and a ground smash, lightning constructs which have got a chain lightning and an electrical overload, which is like an arcane explosion-esque type thing. And that's it. After 20-ish seconds, the first additional ability will activate and waves will come every 45 seconds. The ability is Glare of the Tribunal, which deals around 500 arcane damage to a random player every 3 seconds for the remainder of the fight. After around 75 seconds, the second additional ability will activate and the waves will start coming every 30 seconds. The second ability which will activate is Dark Matter, where it fires a ball of matter at the ground that applies a debuff, increasing damage taken by 100% for a short period to all allies hit. After 100 seconds, the third ability will activate and waves will come roughly every 15 seconds. The final ability is the one that people struggle with the most, which is Searing Gaze. It fires a laser at a random player, dealing 2,000 damage every second to all players hit. So for the tactics, this is a scaling event that gets progressively harder. The easiest way to do this event is to have the tank and melee at the top of the stairs with the ranged and healers stood in the main portion of the room. Pick up the ads and cleave them down. Focus the custodians and constructs as they do AoE. Glare of Tribunal will do consistent damage throughout the fight, and when the increased damage from Dark Matter and Searing Gaze comes in, this can cause severe pain. The last 30 to 40 seconds are quite healing intensive and may need someone to help off healing if your healer is struggling with mana. For the achievement, you just need to complete the event without Bran taking any damage. Actually doable completely passively, because killing the ads without them ever getting to or casting on Bran following the tactic we've just discussed, which will mean you pick up the ads before they're even in range of Bran and therefore should get the achievement on your very first clear. Maiden of Grief is the first optional boss. It has Pillar of Woe, which blasts the highest threat target, dealing shadow damage and applying a dot. It's got Shock of Sorrow, which deals shadow damage to all players and incapacitates them for 6 seconds. This breaks upon damage. Then it's got Storm of Grief, which creates an area of shadow for 20 seconds, inflicting shadow damage every second. Then it's got Parting Sorrow, which is an anti-mana bolt, and it fires a bolt at a random target, dealing 1 point of damage for any mana consumed. The tactics are very similar, really, to Maiden in Karazhan. The boss simply requires people to get in the ground shadow area shortly before the Shock Sorrow goes off in order to instantly break the incapacitate and continue on with the fight. So looking at your time as if you use deadly boss mods, when you see Shock of Sorrows about to come in, simply sidestep into a nice big black pool that you ordinarily wouldn't want to stand in. As soon as the shock goes out, move out of the black pool. For the achievement, it's just a speed kill. You need to kill Maiden of Grief in under 1 minute. All you need to do is have a little bit of gear, pop Bloodlust, and absolutely go ham. As long as you do the normal mechanics properly, where you do break the CC, even if you want to do it as quick as possible and everyone just stands in the black circle and gets healed through, not recommended, but absolutely doable, then you can do that as well. Crystallus is another optional boss, which has got a ground slam, which knocks players back and incrementally slows them by 20% every second, and after 5 seconds, the players turn to stone. It's then got Shatter, which deals physical damage, increasing severely for each player in their proximity. Distance isn't obvious. It seems to be around 20 yards, so stay as far away as possible. Boulder Toss just deals physical damage to the highest threat target, and Stomp deals AoE physical damage to all players in 25 yards. It's also got Ground Spike, which summons rocks under a player and deals nature damage. The tactics are very similar to Gruul, except the Shatter is actually a lot bigger, but there are only 5 of you, so you got a lot more room. The biggest mechanic is the Slam Shatter combo. The one difference between this and Gruul is the boss knocks you straight back on Ground Slam. This means with good positioning, you should never be within a 20-yard distance of any other player, and you can continue to form a star around the boss. Stomp does some moderate damage, although all range should be outside of its range anyway, and just avoid the ground spikes whenever possible. Jonir the Iron Shaper has got a Chain Lightning, which deals nature damage to the target, chaining up to 3 times the nearby targets, increasing in damage with each jump. Lightning Shield, which is purgeable, which applies a buff to himself, which gives 10 balls of lightning that have a 50% chance of doing nature damage when attacked with melee or ranged attacks. It's got a Static Charge, which is a magic ability that's dispellable, where it applies a debuff to a target dealing nature damage and zapping nearby allies with nature damage. Lightning Ring, which deals nature damage to all targets within 10 yards and increases nature damage they take by 10%. 10% for 15 seconds. He frenzies at 20%, enraging, increasing his attack speed by 50% and physical damage dealt by 100%. And then there's adds that spawn throughout the fight. At the beginning, he spawns Forged Iron Dwarves, which just have an interruptible cast, which is called Lightning Tether, where it just deals nature damage to a random player. At 75%, he spawns Forged Iron Trogs, which have got a lightning shock. These deal nature damage to the highest threat target, so these are tankable. At 50%, he spawns Malformed Oozes, which combine to become Iron Sludge if they go within 5 yards of another Malformed Ooze. The Iron Sludge will then have Toxic Volley, which deals nature damage to all players. And at 25%, Bran fixes the machine and the Earthen Dwarves begin to assist the players. Listening to all those tactics, it sounds like a very complicated fight. Early on in the expansion at low gear levels, there is a tactic that involves using melee to kill adds on either spawn point on the left and right of the room, and having a ranged and healer and the tank in the middle of the room dealing with the boss. This avoids a lot of the AoE damage and removes the threat of adds. This is likely the safest way. The other tactic that will be used is when people acquire a bit more gear and a little bit more Zerg orientated, with a focus on burning the boss as soon as possible and cleaving all the adds down. Pop Bloodlust early. At 25%, the boss stops spawning adds and only Earthen Dwarves will spawn to assist. This is a very melee unfriendly fight, and if you have more than one melee DPS, be very careful with random AoE and those chain lightnings. For the achievement, you need to kill the boss after defeating 5 Iron Sludges. The easiest way to do this achievement is to take the boss to around 35% health and stop DPS. As long as he stays above 25%, you're absolutely fine. Malformed Oozes will begin spawning at 50%, and you want to allow only 2 at a time to merge into an Iron Sludge. Kill the Iron Sludge and then allow the next 2 Oozes through. Whilst these Iron Sludges only have 13k health and are easy to kill, the AoE they kick out whilst the boss is also active can be overwhelming with multiple. So once you've repeated this process, allowing 2 Oozes to form and kill the sludge, and you've repeated it 5 times, you can safely kill the boss. And that's it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check all the other Glory of the Hero heroic guides for Wrath out there, all in a playlist. Be sure to like and subscribe and roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes. Everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name. And you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.